Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast, the show that follows the greatest story ever told, one chapter at a time.
Today, we are covering chapter 236, I Swear I Won't Say Sky Island is a Fantasy Again.
And what a title, because this is the chapter where fantasy becomes reality in the most spectacular way possible. We are talking about the Going Merry, our beloved ship literally taking flight.
Not just launched, not just thrown, actually flying.
Sailing on the wind itself. If you've ever had a dream that felt too big to chase, this chapter is for you. And if you want to be here as we chase this one to the very end, find that follow button and make sure it knows you're part of this crew. Let's get into it.
The chapter opens in immediate chaos. The Straw Hats are at the mercy of this giant whirlpool, and the sea itself seems to be coming alive. We've seen storms in the Grand Line before, but this feels different. This is a phenomenon.
It really is. Oda's art here is just incredible. The sheer scale of it. You can almost hear the roar of the water just by looking at the page. And he immediately establishes the stakes. It's not just them either. A Sea King, one of those monsters that terrifies most sailors, just gets casually mulched by this whirlpool. It sets the scale immediately. This isn't just a storm. This is a force of nature that eats giants for breakfast.
It's an important distinction. We've seen Sea Kings as a benchmark of power since the very first chapter. The Lord of the Coast taking Shanks' arm established them as a credible threat. Here, a creature of that magnitude is treated like a piece of driftwood. It tells you that the individual power of monsters means nothing in the face of the Grand Line's true world-shaping power.
Exactly. This is the big leagues of nature. And into this blender of death, our crew is sailing head on.
And Nami, Usopp, and Chopper are having the completely appropriate reaction. Pure terror. They are screaming, they are panicking. Their faces are these perfect comedic masks of horror. Masira and Shoujo are in the distance, wishing them luck like they're watching them go off a cliff, which, let's be honest, they basically are.
They are 100% watching them go off a cliff. But then you have the other side of the coin. Zoro's just chillin', arms crossed, like he's mildly annoyed by the turbulence. And then you have Luffy. He is just sitting on the Mary's figurehead, cross-legged, with this huge, unfazed grin on his face. The world is ending around him, and he looks like he's waiting for a parade to start.
It's that fundamental difference. They see an inescapable vortex of death. He sees the entrance to the next adventure. It's not that he's ignorant of the danger, it's that his desire for the unknown is so much stronger than his fear of it. That grin is an anchor for the entire crew, even if they don't realize it in the moment. It's a non-verbal declaration that everything is going according to his non-existent plan.
It's the ultimate trust the process face. But Nami and Usopp, bless their hearts, they are not trusting the process. They try to reason with him. They're begging, pleading, telling him this is suicide, that Sky Island is just a myth. Usopp is literally foaming at the mouth with panic, which is just peak Usopp.
Which is, of course, the worst possible thing you can say to Monkey D. Luffy. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. The moment the word myth or fantasy leaves their lips, the adventure becomes non-negotiable for him.
Exactly. Telling him it's a fantasy makes him want it more. It's the ultimate reverse psychology for this man. He turns to them, the grin is gone, and he has that dead serious look he gets. The one he had when he was talking about dreams in Mocktown. And he says if they missed an adventure like this, they'd regret it for the rest of their lives.
And that's the moment they give up. He completely reframes the situation. He doesn't dismiss their fear. Instead, he presents a greater fear, the fear of regret. The danger isn't the whirlpool. The danger is the quiet, nagging what if that would haunt them forever if they turn back. It's an incredible piece of leadership, even if it's borderline insane.
It's why they follow him. He doesn't just ask them to believe in his dream, he makes them believe in their own. They all signed up for a life of adventure, and he's just holding them to it. He's the personal trainer for their adventurous spirit, pushing them past what they think their limits are.
As they're sulking, having accepted their ridiculous fate, Zoro, who's been quiet this whole time, points out the obvious. The ship isn't just circling the whirlpool anymore.
It's Airborne. The panel where they're looking over the side is just wild. The current has lifted them completely out of the water, and they are hanging in the air, about to plummet straight into the center. The sheer physics of it is nonsensical and beautiful.
But then, just as they're about to fall, the whirlpool just stops. It vanishes. The sound and the fury cease in an instant. Nami looks over the side and realizes it hasn't disappeared. It's gone into the seabed. The water level drops, revealing the ocean floor for a moment.
The silence after that must have been deafening. Imagine going from the roar of a world-ending vortex to dead quiet. And in that silence, a new threat appears. A new ship. A raft, really.
A very ominous-looking raft made of giant logs lashed together. It looks brutish and powerful, a stark contrast to the comparatively graceful Mary. And on it stands a very large man we've met before.
Blackbeard, Marshall D. Teach, the man Luffy argued with back in Mocktown about dreams. And you know, the tonal shift here is masterful. We go from a man versus nature conflict to a man versus man conflict in the span of 2 pages.
And he's not here to talk about dreams this time. He's here to end them. He announces he's here for Luffy's bounty, 100 million berries. He says it with such confidence, such swagger.
And Luffy's reaction is perfect. It's one of my all-time favorite Luffy moments. He's not scared, he's not angry, he's just confused. He tilts his head and is basically like, 100 million? Since when? He is genuinely, personally mystified. He had no idea.
It's a perfect encapsulation of his character. He doesn't care about the fame or the infamy. He's so focused on the next meal and the next island that he hasn't even bothered to check his own wanted poster after shaking the world to its core.
Blackbeard seems to find this amusing. He laughs his big, booming laugh and confirms Luffy didn't even know his own bounty had been raised after Arabasta. And then he drops the other one, just as a casual aside.
Pirate Hunter Zoro, 60 million.
Bro, the casual way he says it and the look on everyone's faces. Usopp grabs his binoculars to confirm, and we get this fantastic sequence of panels. Oda knows these are the moments we live for.
And the reactions are just a masterclass in character writing. They tell you everything you need to know about these people.
Let's break it down. First, Luffy. He is vibrating with joy. He's got stars in his eyes, hands on his cheeks, just squealing with delight. 100 million. He's officially in the big leagues. It's a huge milestone, the kind of number that makes even seasoned pirates in the Grand Line take notice. He's not thinking about the danger, just the high score. It's pure, uncut validation for him.
Then we have Zoro. No shouting, no celebration, just a quiet, dangerous smirk. He says he wishes it was a bit higher. That is the most Zoro reaction imaginable. For him, the bounty is a measure of his strength, a reflection of his notoriety as a swordsman. He sees 60 million and thinks, that's a good start. It's a testament to his ambition. He's not aiming to be a 60 million berry man. He's aiming to be the world's greatest swordsman, and this is just a stepping stone.
And it's a hell of a first bounty. More than Arlong, more than Krieg. He's immediately established as a major threat in his own right, not just Luffy's sidekick. The world government sees him as a serious problem, and he loves it.
And then there's Sanji.
Oh, poor Sanji, my sweet, sweet prince. He leans over to Usopp, full of hope, his eyes literally sparkling, asking if there's a poster for him too. And Usopp just gives him this deadpan, nope. The disappointment is crushing. His whole body just deflates. It's played for laughs, but you feel for the guy.
You really do. He took down Mr. 2, one of Baroque Works' most powerful officers. He was instrumental in their victory, but because he operated under the codename Mr. Prince and wasn't a public-facing figure in the final battle, the government has no idea who he is. It's the ultimate irony for a man who loves the spotlight as much as he does.
Oda mentions in his author's notes this week that he and the anime voice actors spent half a year planning a surprise for Sanji's voice actor, Hirata-san, by not telling him Sanji didn't get a bounty. They wanted to see his genuine reaction during the recording. It's funny to see that playful, almost cruel spirit extend to the character himself.
It really is. And this moment here, this is the beginning of a beautiful, long-running gag. Sanji's jealousy over Zoro's bounty is going to fuel so much comedy for years to come. It's the birth of a classic rivalry dynamic within the crew.
It truly is a legendary start to a legendary gag. But while the boys are all wrapped up in their ego trip, Nami is being the responsible adult in the room.
Nami, meanwhile, is the only one thinking about the implications. She correctly deduces this is because of what they did in Arabasta, overthrowing a warlord and saving a kingdom. And she warns Luffy and Zoro not to get cocky. A bounty isn't just a high score, it's a target. It's the world screaming, "This person is dangerous. Go get them."
And Blackbeard is the first person to try and collect. He's aiming to take down 100 million berry pirate to make a name for himself. He's this unknown quantity, and he wants to rocket himself to the top by taking out the new hotshot rookie.
He states his goal outright. He wants to take down Luffy to earn a spot as one of the 7 warlords of the sea. This confirms what might have been hinted at back in Arabasta about an empty seat. Blackbeard is making his move on the world stage. This is a pirate with a plan, with immense ambition.
It's so chilling. Luffy just stumbles into things. Blackbeard calculates. He waited in Mocktown. He found out about Luffy's new bounty. He tracked him to the literal end of the line. This guy is methodical, but the Grand Line has other plans. Just as they're squaring off, the sea beneath the Mary starts to swell. It rises up like a giant bubble.
The moment is interrupted by nature once again. Blackbeard is completely confused. He's wondering why the sky is suddenly dark just above them. He looks up and sees this massive shadow forming. He doesn't understand what's happening. He's powerful, he's smart, but he doesn't understand the romance and fantasy of the sea. He lacks the faith that Cricket and Luffy have.
It's so chilling. Luffy just stumbles into things. Blackbeard calculates. He waited in Mocktown. He found out about Luffy's new bounty. He tracked him to the literal end of the line. This guy is methodical, but the Grand Line has other plans. Just as they're squaring off, the sea beneath the Mary starts to swell. It rises up like a giant bubble.
The moment is interrupted by nature once again. Blackbeard is completely confused. He's wondering why the sky is suddenly dark just above them. He looks up and sees this massive shadow forming. He doesn't understand what's happening. He's powerful, he's smart, but he doesn't understand the romance and fantasy of the sea. He lacks the faith that Cricket and Luffy have.
But the Sarayama Alliance does. They see it from the shore. Masira and Shoju are screaming for them to get ready. The knock-up stream is here. Cricket's calculations were perfect.
And then, an explosion. A colossal pillar of water erupts from the ocean floor with unbelievable force. The sound must have been like 1,000 cannons firing at once.
It hits the Going Merry dead on and blasts it straight into the sky. It's an incredible sight, just this tiny ship being carried on a geyser that dwarfs mountains. But the best part, the absolute most satisfying part, it completely obliterates Blackbeard's raft.
Just shreds it to pieces. He and his crew are sent flying. He's screaming in shock and frustration. A perfect karmic intervention from the sea itself. The man who scoffed at dreams is literally blown away by the mechanism that launches them.
Get out of the way of their dream. The sea said, nope, not you, not today. It's such a powerful moment. Blackbeard, who we're being set up to see as this major, unstoppable force, is unceremoniously swatted aside by the world itself because he was standing in the way of the protagonist's journey. It's the story protecting its hero. Super!
We see a shot of Cricket on the shore, watching the water spout climb into the heavens. He's leaning on his crutch, beaten and bruised from his fight with Bellamy, and he's just got this look of profound relief and joy on his face. He did it. He got them there.
It's so good, so cathartic. This man has spent his entire life being ridiculed, being called a liar, living in the shadow of an ancestor the world scorned. He put all his faith, all his family's legacy into this one crazy kid, and now he's watching that faith ascend to the heavens. It's the ultimate vindication.
His family's generations-long quest, his entire life's work, fulfilled in this one moment. He sent them on their way. He didn't get to go himself, but he passed the torch. It's a beautiful culmination of the theme of inherited will that is so central to the story. He inherited Nolan's dream, and now he has passed it to Luffy.
It's such a beautiful, cathartic moment for his character. He entrusted his dream to Luffy, and it's literally ascending to the heavens. He can rest now. He's proven his family wasn't a bunch of liars.
But for the Straw Hats, the catharsis hasn't hit yet. They have a more immediate problem. They are in the middle of a vertical ocean, struggling just to hold on to the ship as it rockets upward at an impossible velocity.
The scale is immense. The stream goes all the way up above the clouds. We get these wide shots showing the Mary as just a tiny speck on this massive pillar of water, and things are falling past them. Debris, other wreckage from the ships in the Whirlpool, and the Sea King from earlier.
That's such a terrifying detail. The one that was sucked into the Whirlpool. It just plummets past them, limp and lifeless, which is a horrifying reminder of what happens if you fall off. The fall would kill you long before you ever hit the water.
And Sanji, always the sharp one, points out the real danger. He notices that the ship is slowly being pushed to the edge of the stream. They're losing contact with the main current. If they don't do something, they're going to get blown off and end up just like that Sea King.
The panic sets in again. They're climbing at an impossible speed, thousands of feet in the air, on a ship that's about to be thrown into the abyss. Their initial awe has been replaced by sheer survival instinct.
And in the middle of all that chaos, one voice cuts through. Not Luffy's, not Zoro's, it's Nami's. And she gives a simple, clear order. Release the sails.
Everyone is confused. Zoro, Luffy, Usopp, they all look at her like she's lost her mind. Release the sails in this gale? The wind pressure is astronomical. It sounds like a command to tear the ship apart. It sounds like madness.
But she explains it with this incredible confidence. She's not panicking. She's processing. She has all the data points, Cricket's modifications to the ship, the nature of the explosion, the temperature change. She puts it all together in an instant. This isn't just a geyser. This is the sea itself. They're riding a current. It just happens to be going up.
And the water vapor from the explosion is creating a powerful updraft of air around the stream. It's like a thermal column. She understood the physics of a miracle while it was happening. This is her moment. This is why she is one of the most vital members of this crew.
Her big line here is just legendary. She says their opponents are the wind and the sea, so they'll just have to conquer them by sailing right in their faces. That's the Straw Hat spirit right there. Don't avoid the storm, ride it. It gives me chills every time.
She reminds them who their navigator is. Who do you think is navigating the ship? And in that moment, all their doubt vanishes. All their trust snaps back to her. It's a masterful display of her unique strength on the crew. She can't punch a mountain apart, but she can read the soul of the ocean and bend it to her will. This is her conqueror's hockey in a way, the will to dominate the elements, their sheer intellect and intuition.
Absolutely. The crew scrambles to follow her orders. They have to align the ship with the stream, use the rudder to catch the current just right. It's all hands on deck. Sanji literally picks Luffy up and throws him across the deck to help shift the momentum. It's this perfect mix of desperate, chaotic teamwork, all orchestrated by Nami.
But Chopper points out they're too late. The ship has already lost contact. The nose of the Mary tips over the edge. It's falling.
The Mary drifts off the side of the massive waterspout, and for a heart-stopping second, a full-page panel, it just hangs in the air, beginning to plummet. The dream is over. They failed.
Nami just closes her eyes and says, "There's no need for another plan." The sheer, unshakable faith in her own calculation is breathtaking.
And then it happens. The sails, now unfurled, catch the updraft. The wings that the Sarayama Alliance installed on the sides of the Mary flare out, and the ship stops falling. The downward momentum ceases. It starts flying.
It's sailing on the wind, flying parallel to the knock-up stream, using the vapor as its sky road. Oda gives us a magnificent double-page spread. The Going Mary, wings out, soaring through the air like a bird with the massive pillar of water beside it as its guide. It's one of the most beautiful and earned images in the entire series.
Super! This is it. This is the moment. The Going Mary, a caravel from the East Blue, is literally a flying ship. It's not magic. It's not a devil fruit. It's the culmination of dreams, engineering, trust, and navigational genius. It's one of the most breathtaking and earned moments of fantasy in the entire series because they use real-world-ish principles to achieve it.
The crew is just in awe. They're speechless. Sanji is fawning over Nami Swan, calling her a goddess of the sea, which in this moment is not an exaggeration. But everyone else is just staring, dumbfounded. They're looking at their navigator who just tamed a vertical ocean, and their ship which is defying gravity.
Nami is so cool about it too. She just opens her eyes, a confident smile on her face, and says as long as they follow this wind and this stream, they can make it anywhere. The confidence is unreal. She just pulled off the single greatest feat of navigation in the history of their world, and she's as calm as if she were just docking at a port.
It's the perfect culmination of the Jaya arc. Cricket's engineering provided the hardware, Nami's navigational genius was the software, and the crew's unbreakable trust in each other was the power source that made it all work, all of it coming together to achieve the impossible.
Luffy, ever the simple one, breaks the awestruck silence. He just asks when they'll get there, always focused on the destination, and Nami points ahead. They're approaching the giant cloud they saw from below, the Millennium Cumulonimbus, this massive swirling cloud formation that acts as the sea of the sky.
She believes the Sky Island is just beyond it. The entrance to their impossible dream is right in front of them.
The chapter ends with the Going Merry sailing into the clouds, Luffy wondering what they'll find on the other side, and the end of the Jaya arc. What a perfect note to go out on. Just pure, unfiltered adventure. It's not the end, and the adventure continues, but on a whole new level.
They left a world that told them their dream was a joke, and they're entering a world that no one on the ground even believes is real. It's a powerful statement about faith, perseverance, and the sheer stubborn refusal to let reality dictate your dreams.
The absolute best. Nami's navigation skills in this chapter are just off the charts. If you think she's the best navigator on the seas, drop a comment below and let us know your favorite Nami moment. All right, Robin, predictions for the next chapter, the start of a brand new arc.
Okay, I think the moment they break through the clouds, the environment will be immediately hostile. I don't mean an enemy necessarily, but the physics will be wrong. The air pressure will be different, making it hard to move, or the sea clouds will have a strange density that makes normal sailing impossible. They'll have to adapt on the fly to an entirely new set of natural laws.
I like that. The new world having new rules. That feels very grand line. For my first one, I think we're going to get an immediate visual of the island itself, and it's not going to be one big landmass. It's going to be a series of floating islands connected by something like vine bridges or cloud paths, a whole archipelago in the sky. Oda loves his unique island geography, and this is a chance to go wild.
That would be visually stunning. My second prediction is that we'll meet the first inhabitant of Skypiea, and they will have wings. Not just as a fashion accessory, but small, functional, angelic-looking wings on their backs. It will immediately establish the almost divine or heavenly nature of this place, and confirm some of the oldest legends about sky people.
Oh, that's good. Seeing actual winged people would really sell the whole heavenly island idea. All right, my second prediction, and this is a bit more character-focused, the first thing that happens when they land, or cloud, is Luffy is going to try and punch a cloud to see if it's solid, and he's just going to fall right through it, and Zoro or Sanji will have to grab his leg at the last second. A classic Luffyism to start the arc and establish the new rules you were talking about.
I can absolutely see that happening. It's almost a certainty. My final prediction is about the log pose. Now that they're in the sky, I think it will either spin uselessly or point directly down at the blue sea they just left. They will be truly without a guide for the first time, completely reliant on Nami's senses and their own luck. The magnetic fields of the islands below won't reach them here.
I love that. Stripping away their one reliable tool. They are officially off the map. That's a great way to raise the stakes. My final prediction is that we will see evidence of other people who have been brought up by the knock-up stream. Wreckage of old ships, maybe even skeletons scattered around the entrance to Skypiea as a warning that just getting here isn't enough to survive. A sort of graveyard at the gates of heaven.
A chilling but very plausible thought. The gate to heaven is littered with the failures of those who came before. It would add an immediate layer of threat to this seemingly divine paradise.
Exactly. Well, that's all the time we have for today. We've officially left the blue sea behind and are headed for the sky.
A new island, a new adventure. The story's only getting bigger from here.
You can say that again. Join us next time as we take our first steps onto a sea of clouds. Until then, keep chasing that horizon.
And may your will be inherited.